Dear baby listener, Goat Games is produced in association with The Network. Find our show and other great podcasts at bicbp-radio.com. Also, Goat Games includes many, many spoilers for every game that we play. If you don't want the game spoiled for you, we recommend playing the game and coming back to listen to the episode afterwards. In the meantime, check out a different episode maybe, if you feel like it. All right, on to this episode. So how's everyone been?
I mean, I can't complain. I woke up early and watched Hocus Pocus 2 with Ashley.
Oh, I've only seen one. Is the Hocus Pocus a trilogy? Is it? No, I don't know how many Hocus.
They just came out with it yesterday.
Oh wow. Dang.
After 29 years, a beloved children's film finally got a sequel direct to Disney Plus. So it went about as well as you think it would go.
Oh yeah.
It was better than it was better than I thought it would be, but it wasn't great.
I feel like that's how the Disney stuff is. It's so designed by committee. It's gonna be fine, but that's it's gonna be fine.
It was inoffensive.
Yeah.
The people have been demanding a live action Hocus Pocus remake. I'm glad they finally did it.
Live action.
The first live action Hocus Pocus. The other one was amazing digital.
Yeah. Amazing animation.
We could do an episode just on the original Hocus Pocus.
The greatest game of all time.
Yes.
Produced.
The true
produced by Neil Druckmann.
Can we talk about how weird that fucking kid's name is? What was it? It always throws me off because I think they're saying it wrong. I don't
remember.
Fuck. What's his name? The dude who turns into the cat in the beginning.
Oh, Thackeray Binks.
Thackeray.
Yeah, it's like Zachary Attackery Games, but with a T.
It's Thackeray, TH. It so fucking trips me out, dude. How is that a thing? Also, if there are Thackeray's out there, because I think it is a name, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I apologize.
I'm sorry to the Thackeray community. That's half our listenership. I looked it up. It's a very
Thackeray
specific.
It's about to rise up.
Yeah, they misheard Zach's name and they thought it was Thack, so that's the only reason they listened. They're like, oh, finally, a Thack that starts a podcast.
We poll well. We're doing well with demos of 16 to 35 and people named Thackeray.
Yep.
That is our. Yeah, Thackeray. I mean, that's such a cruel. Okay. It's so. I don't know what possesses.
We're going into some dangerous territory here.
we actually are. I was going to say, would people name their kids?
This is where we're going with it, aren't we? We're going with the unique spellings of classical names.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess we don't have to do that bit. But because
it is weird, though, right? Is that just the American in me that's like, what the fuck's a Thackeray?
Yeah, I think so.
That ain't no name.
Yeah, it's probably a beloved name in some other culture, and we sound like assholes.
It does also sound like a sound effect that you'd see in an old comic book. Someone would hit someone.
Like a Batman.
Thackeray.
Thack.
Oh my gosh.
Or a Pokemon move or something.
So basically, I looked it up just for fun, and it's more commonly used as a last name.
Bullshit.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right, how many Thackeray's do you know besides the Halloween movie we're talking about?
You know how the last name Miller would indicate that you ran a grain mill, or Smith was you were a smith
of
some kind.
Thacks do?
A thatching for roofs.
Oh, okay. Well, I've heard Thatcher,
Thackeray.
as in Margaret, God rest her soul, the Iron Lady. But
it's an older, more period appropriate for Hocus Pocus version of that from the 17th century.
Right, ye old Thacker is kind of the.
Yeah,
gotcha. Oh,
wow.
Okay, well,
I feel so wise. I've learned so. Much today.
Babynames.com also says a streamlined version of the classical British Thackeray. No wonder it's more common version. No wonder this is a more common variation in the U.S. Thackeray makes a preppier, more unusual alternative
Totally
to
hip.
Zachary.
Is there people out there reviewing baby names? Is that what the is
Yes.
that's
That's a thing. Yeah, that's a thing. I wonder. Now I just have to know, like, what's the worst baby name ever?
The worst reviewed name.
God, there's going to be some competition for
Yeah,
that.
no, so that's the new direction of the pod, everybody. We are now a baby name review podcast. I want all the hottest, newest baby name drops.
I do feel like baby name review could be a good like couch bit. Every episode we take a big shit on someone's crappy baby name.
It's going to be called Goat Names.
Goat names, yeah.
All right, here we go. From 2014. The most hated baby names of 2014: Jaden, Braden, Aiden, Caden, Hayden, Bentley, Tristan.
No. Who's polling this?
Where's that? That's like a millennial old woman who lived in a shoe. It's like a millennial nursery
It's like the
rhyme.
millennial Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What the? I'm beside myself.
According to the UK, the most hated baby name is Olivia, spelled A-A-L-I-V-I-Y-A-H.
I get it.
You lost me at AA.
Yeah, you could have just stopped there.
Then there's Maverick, spelled M-H-A-R-V-R-Y. Like, it's like, these are so obtuse ways to spell. I can't do it.
Maverick.
I feel like
That sounds like a Skyrim name or something.
these are just like parents fucking with kindergarten teachers who have to like
Right.
read roll.
Yeah.
And then
Like
it says
really
like
putting them through the ringer.
and then there's an honorable mention for Alexa and Siri.
Oh yeah,
But
right.
less
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
that-
names and more about, like, that's a horrible thing to do to a
Right.
kid in the 21st century.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, like that. Google's basically Amazon and Apple have basically just put a moratorium on those names. You'll never meet another Alexa born after the year like 2014,
Unless they're
2015.
owned by Amazon.
Right?
And
Yeah.
if you do, you
Yeah.
do know they're actively in the process of getting sued by Jeffrey. So he's coming for you.
Jeffrey just materializes in the birthing suite, just like whomp, like that baby's house.
If you rub my bald head, you may name your child Alexa.
Yeah, please. I'll offer you $15 million cash for your baby Alexa. Heyo, it's Figio, and welcome to Go Games, where we only play the best games. I'm your host, Alan Newton, and here on Go Games, we take a look at the video games that are considered the greatest of all time and talk about them. Are they great? What makes them great? Or are they just overrated? Let's find out. That's really high. We like to have streamers and content creators on the show whenever we can, so you can watch the hosts play the games we talk about in real time. You can find me at twitch.tv/Figgy_O. That's twitch.tv Figgy-O. And I'm joined today by fucking A. You did this last time. Q.
Oh, what's up, y'all? I'm your co-host Q. You can call me Rap Parade. I'm joined here today with my other fellow co-host Steve for
wow.
Cheese.
Wasn't ready for that. What the?
I think we skipped Rob
We did
again.
not discuss this, Rat.
We'll get to me when we get to me.
I'm going freeform, baby.
Let me go before Rob because he's going to come up with like a used car salesman pitch again and outdo all of us. So I want to get my piece in before before I get outshined here. But my name's Steve for Cheese. You can find me at Steve for Cheese or twitch.tv/Steve for Cheese. If you like video games, and if you don't, then I don't know why you're here. So
Beautiful.
I mean, I'm just a really big fan of cheese. That's why I'm here.
that's true.
That's true.
Damn
There's
straight.
not nearly enough cheese.
Yeah,
You
that's
need to do a cheese
going to be
review.
the spin-off podcast, Goat Cheese.
You know,
Oh my gosh.
it's funny that you say that. That's funny that you say that, Steve, because I thought, we had our thing going about sports. What if we did our own weekly sports review called the Goat Cheese Podcast? Because you're cheese. You know, I don't know how I tie into it, but you know, I was like, man, Goat Cheese. We could talk about sports.
Yeah, we got to incorporate you somehow because I'm not doing a solo.
Yeah, attacking Goat Cheese with I don't know. We'll workshop it. Okay, well, the handoff the baton's been back to me. And next up we have STQRSTU. Yes, okay, I did it right this time. Super Captain Rob.
Hi, yeah, I'm a Super Captain Rob. I'm a variety streamer and accidental just chatter on Twitch. I'm also a man who is actively working on a sexy Patrick Star cosplay. So if you want to see that, come by my stream sometime in November. I don't know for certain. It'll be on a Saturday though. You can catch me at twitch.tv/supercaptainrob. I'm also at Twitter under supercaptainrob. And if you want to come by and hang out, I'd love to see you.
Wow.
See, this is why I had to go before him.
Yeah. Zach, tough act to follow.
That's all right.
Next up we have Zach of Zach Attacks Games. I guess I'm doing your screen names. I don't know how we do this.
I don't care. I go by Zach everywhere. It's fine.
Plug your shit, Zach.
I just did. I said I go by Zach everywhere. Just look up Zach. You'll find me. No.
Short and sweet. I like it.
No. Well, I mean, Rob's such a hard act to follow. So
hey,
why
I'm
even
Zach.
try?
Fuck off.
Pretty much.
I am the Zach. I am all Zach.
I am a unit. A collective.
Yeah, I am the Zach hive mind.
But Zach, you can find me on Twitch TV /Zach Attacks Games. That's Zach with an HZACH. And for once, I can actually say on the podcast, I am streaming.
Hey.
Yes, he's back.
Let's go.
The prodigal son has returned.
The people
Zach
demanded.
Attacks is back.
And we're happy.
By popular demand, I have returned to streaming. You could have watched in the previous week me stream the game we're going to talk about today.
Do we want to talk about like stuff we've been playing? Do we want to talk about gaming news at all? Do we want to steer the podcast in that direction, or should we just hit record and basically start talking? Or should we just start talking about like?
I mean,
Mario.
The only gaming news I can think of that we might want to mention, because by the time this episode comes out, our God of War episode will probably be out.
Right.
Is that Sony is going to lift the NDA on God of War 1 week before the game comes out.
Which is such a power move.
Which
like
basically means Sony knows everybody's giving it a 10 out of 10. Like they have no doubt whatsoever that this game is going to like really challenge Elden Ring for Game of the Year.
Well, it means that Sony heard our episode is what happened. True. So
Miyamoto must have forwarded it to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, that's like some big balls move. Like,
yeah, it is.
No, it's typically
that is huge confidence in a game for them to be like, all right, you know what? Fine, speak your fucking mind. We don't give a shit. We know we're on top.
You can kind of tell how a publisher / developer feels about a game based off of its like embargo. Basically, like if they have no faith in a game, the embargo will lift at midnight the day the game comes out.
Is lifting it a week early completely unprecedented? Like
no, it's not. It's not unprecedented. But Sony does it a lot more than anybody else. You know, off the top of my head, like The Last of Us 2, the embargo was lifted a week early. The Last of Us 1, it was lifted a week early.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. It's just kind of like the power move. I don't know if Halo 5. I think it might have had it lifted early too. But I mean, obviously, I don't really keep track of these. It's just kind of like off the cuff. Oh yeah, it looks like Halo 5 lifted the embargo early, but that was a direct response to.
Wow, that was bold considering Halo 4.
Well, no, it was a direct response to industry insiders breaking it. So they just said, "Well, do whatever you want." So it wasn't their choice. They're just like, "Well, that's the cat's out of the bag. Go for it."
Yeah.
Do you really think God of War is going to beat like Elden Ring out though?
Do I think God of War is going to beat Elden Ring for Game of the Year? No, but I think it's
I don't think so either.
It's going to go out with it's going to go down swinging though. It's going to win a shitload of Game of the Year awards, but I think like when it comes to the marquee Game of the Year awards, like God of War's cool. Like it's a tentpole franchise.
I can't see it with the replayability. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong, but that's where Elden Ring shines.
It's like
Elden Ring
was a cultural phenomenon.
That's what I was gonna say. It's a cultural moment. Like it's in the
there
zeitgeist.
Is an Elden Ring show in the works.
Yeah, and Elden Ring just also like completely like rocked the boat in terms of like the status quo with like open world games. I don't see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who fucking knows that? I mean, God of War may come out swinging with something brand new we've never seen before, but yeah, I just don't see them doing something so new and different the way Elden Ring has. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'd be great. It'd be great if it was so good that we have two amazing games that like could equally both be like sea change games.
Well, like I kind of said on the God of War review, I kind of just expect like the second one to just be the second half of the first game.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, they've definitely laid,
which is good. Sorry, that's fine. You know, but I just can't picture getting the game of the year.
They could like really up the spectacle of it. You know, there are things like even if it's the second half that you could like really make that second half slap. But I think I also like Elden Ring is absolutely where my money would be for game of the year too.
Well, hey, and don't forget we've got Modern Warfare 2 coming out.
Oh, Warzone gamers.
Right. Gotta take the cake. 10 out of 10s across the board, baby.
I can't tell who's being sarcastic and who's being serious.
Who's being serious?
Yeah. Show out yourselves.
Okay. I am very excited about it, but it's Call of Duty. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. No, their
so, fucking rating system's dog shit for how people.
I hope everyone realizes if this podcast continues, and none of us like pass away.
Jeez. Okay.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Should we be watching our backs?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like
either that or placing bets. Who's gonna croak first?
Yeah, Deadpool.
You're gonna start a podcast taunting. Everyone puts some money in, and last one alive gets it.
A Deadpool, yeah. But we will have to cover a Call of Duty. It's inevitable.
But there are good Call of Duties. They just came out 20 years ago.
Oh, Black Ops 2, hands down. No, there's a couple that are amazing.
Yeah.
Just out of the pool of like 20 of them, most are dog shit.
Yeah. I had fun with Modern Warfare 2, but I'm so bad at online. I'm just not very skilled at first-person shooters, so like I didn't use them for their intended purpose, which is to play online multiplayer.
The last one I enjoyed, I think, was Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1.
Ooh, PS2 gaming.
Know what
the fuck? Is that a crossover with Big Red Gum? Is that like
I know that was PS2, wasn't it?
No, it was. Yeah, it was like, but it was like an attempt to like tell a story similar to like Band of Brothers.
Which is the one that like that I've heard like lifts kind of the story from Apocalypse Now, because I've heard that one's really good.
What? You guys are saying things that I've never. You guys are making it up.
I've never played the campaign. I think I played one campaign from a Call of Duty.
Let's see if I can
I played the No Russian one. I played the Modern Warfare 2.
Is that the one where he's like brainwashed? I think that's Black Ops.
Yeah. It says like I just looked it up real quick, and it's like, is the Apocalypse map a reference to Apocalypse Now for Call of Duty? Yeah, Black Ops 2.
That I think is it. Yeah.
Huh.
I've heard that one's really good because it has like an actual good story.
Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now is in the game. And I don't like, let me look something up because I read both.
The Black Ops 1 story was really good.
Did Marlon Brando, is he in it?
No.
Did they get the Brando in there?
It doesn't look like it, but I have to look because I always get the book and the movie confused. Because it says his name is a reference to Joseph Conrad's novella Heart of Darkness, and his rank to Marlon Brando's character in the film Apocalypse Now, which is loosely based on the aforementioned novella. So yeah, apparently like that shit's canon.
Wow.
Apocalypse Now happened in the COD cinematic universe.
There are Nazi zombies in Apocalypse Now, confirmed.
So today we're talking about Super Mario World. it's a big, you've heard what, you know what it is. So Zach has prepared a statement, an elevator pitch talking about the game's history and why he thinks it may or may not be a GOAT. Take it away, Zachary.
Released in Japan in November 1990, and nearly 1 year later in the United States in August of 1991, it is hard to describe Super Mario World as anything less than a quintessential 90s kid experience. Though their experience may only be lunch table banter over Sonic vs. Mario, the impact Super Mario World had on gaming as a whole is hard to top. With over 20 million copies sold, Super Mario World is the #1 selling title on Nintendo's 16-bit behemoth, the Super Nintendo, or Super Famicom for some of our friends overseas. Featuring delightful sprite work and a color palette the gamers had not seen up to that point, Super Mario World rocketed to the top of both sales charts and critical reception. Stepping in the director's chair for Super Mario World was long-time Nintendo director Takashi Tezuka. Tezuka had been involved with Mario from the beginning and was coming off major successes with The Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Bros. 3. Industry legend Shigeru Miyamoto served as producer, but his DNA can be felt all throughout the title. While the soundtrack is not as memorable as legendary composer Koji Kondo's other works, it cannot be denied how the advanced audio features present in the Super Nintendo took sound effects to a new level. Yes, that pun was intended. Widely regarded not only as one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, Super Mario World is also regarded as the best 2D Mario game, and most importantly, for our purposes, one of the greatest games of all time. But does Super Mario World stand the test of time? Is this game propped up by nostalgia? Is it only remembered so fondly because it was the first gaming experience many of us had as children? Or is Super Mario World still a juggernaut 30 plus years later? I ask you, dear baby listeners, to sit back with my friends and I as we share our experiences with Nintendo's first foray into the 16-bit era. Is Super Mario World a GOAT worthy of the praise in today's day and age? Or is it a moat, a game from a bygone era, best left in the past?
Beautiful. Wow.
Thank you, Zach.
I think so. Clearly, the writing in this podcast is just top notch. I'm just gonna no, but I think that was probably the best narrated one. I mean, no offense, Rob, yours was great. Mine was a train wreck.
We keep pumping them up. They're better every time.
Okay, this game is like basically synonymous with gaming as a whole. So like, I don't know what. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Steve, tell me about your history with this game, which is basically just saying, like, tell me about when you started playing video games. For I think for a lot of us, maybe not. Maybe it's I think someone's first time actually.
I think it's a couple Steve, of our first times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, I've always I was a Sega Genesis kid back in the day. So I had I know I'm one of those guys.
Yeah.
So I grew up more with the Sonic games, Sonic 1, 2, and 3. Mostly 2 and 3. So I didn't really play a Mario game until the N64 because I got an N64. So my I played at my friend's house, but my first Mario game I owned was Mario 64 in the 3D. So I kind of skipped the whole 2D era for the most part. I had the original Mario on the Game Boy Color, I believe it is, Super Mario Deluxe, which I feel like a lot of people had. So that was kind of my first 2D game, but I never really touched Mario 2, Mario 3, or Super Mario World until way later on. I think my first experience with Super Mario World that I remember was me buying it on like the Wii Virtual Console.
Oh wow.
Console, yeah. So like it's and like I beat it then, but I beat it through like warps and like cheating and stuff like that. So I just recently streamed it on the Super Nintendo because I eventually went back and I bought a Super Nintendo because I'm an adult now, and that's what you do when you're an adult. You do things you want. So I wanted a Super Nintendo, and I wanted
when you're an adult. when you're an adult, you buy the childhood you never had.
Exactly. Yeah. So I bought a Super Nintendo and I bought a copy of Super Mario World years ago, and I never got around to playing it until now when we decided to play this game. So I was able to play it, and I went through the game the right way. 100%ed it.
Oh, you fucking!
I got all 96 secret exits,
now, huh?
and I didn't use one save state.
Fucking asshole. Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of my experience with it. So I was kind of late to the game in a way.
Okay. We'll get it. The rest of this episode is just gonna be like, Figgy, use save states. The whole fucking.
It's
Yeah, for the
Cheerio.
people that don't know, we all played the game the legitimate way, whether it was on original hardware or on the Switch or whatever, or emulated. But we didn't use save states. Figgy emulated the game, and when he died, he would reload the save right before where he died.
Okay, Nintendo, I didn't fucking hack it. Nintendo put the save states in the modern iterations.
Yeah, you know why they did that? For the wussy baby kitty whiners that couldn't play the game like a man.
They did it so people could have fun. They did it so people would have fun with the game, and I hate it.
Wait, save state is not an emulator thing? That was a legitimate thing Nintendo put in?
No, it is an emulator thing. No.
It's from the Switch
Okay,
emulator. So the Switch emulates SNES games, but the Switch emulator for SNES games has a save state and rewind function baked into it. So any
As does the
SNES or
SNES
NES game,
Classic.
yeah, so like any game that you play on that, you can save state or you can rewind in order to make it easier, which makes sense because some of those old games are hard as shit. And like,
Yeah, and because some of us have lives, okay? Some of us.
You know,
All I'm saying is all four of us did it. All four
Some
of
of
us
us are
did
just
it.
good at games.
Yeah, well, we all have. The world needs farmers too, okay? Like, we can't all be god tier gamers, okay?
I just kept having these flashbacks to last episode when you said you were always going to play on the intended settings.
Yeah, you did say that.
Oh, he's got
I feel like we gotta play medium
got you,
difficulty
man.
because
My, how we forget history.
I mean, like as far as difficulty sliders go, this is intended. It's in the official Nintendo software.
yeah, basically
Okay,
it's
fucking
easy
A,
mode.
Rob, talk
It's
about
easy
your
mode.
experience
That's
with
what
the
it is.
So my experience is actually a lot like Steve's. Now, I never had a Genesis, but I had a Game Boy Color and then a Nintendo 64. So Super Mario 64 was like the first game I ever got for the Nintendo 64, and I loved that game. And then I also, when Steve was talking about Super Mario Deluxe, it brought like flashbacks of that like clear cartridge back to me because I had that too and tried to play it and like could never beat it. It was too hard for me as a kid. And yeah, I never had played Super Mario. I'd played like a level or two here or there, but I'd never like actually played it. So this was my first time playing it. I haven't beaten all of the exits yet, but I have beaten the game. So yeah, I don't know. It was really cool to get to experience.
Nice. Okay. Zach, you go.
Sure. So
I'm pissed.
as the resident old man, my journey to Super Mario World started out on the original Nintendo, where the very first game I recall playing was Super Mario Brothers on the original Nintendo. However, my parents took a heel turn when it came time for a new console, and while I begged and pleaded for the Super Nintendo, I got a Sega Genesis, and I got I believe it was the Genesis 2 was the revision I got.
Yeah, that's what I got.
And it came with Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2, and like I remember liking it. Like that wasn't my favorite game. I have a I hold a candle to the Jurassic Park game for Sega Genesis, which it's not good.
Oh yes,
it's not great, but I love that game.
No, yeah,
but no, like because like I had played, so I always had access to a Super Nintendo via friends. Like everybody had a Super Nintendo, but me. So I was like the one kid that was like, yeah, I don't get to play the cool shit. I gotta play Sega. But I mean, I had fun with it because it worked out to where like we would alternate who's staying at whose house on the weekend. So like we would go and I could provide Sega, they could provide Super Nintendo. But anyway, enough about that.
Wait, be honest. Did your parents get you a new system, one that you weren't familiar with and didn't want, because there was a game that they actually wanted to play from Sega?
Oh, hell no. No.
Okay, just checking.
Son, we are an Echo the Dolphin household.
God,
Oh my God, I love Echo the Dolphin. That game's so fucking good.
I want to say that it would have been like Christmas 93 or 4 when I got it. And I want to say the entire reason I got it was because I believe the Genesis was on sale for $100.
That'll do it.
Whereas the Super Nintendo was $200 at that time.
Yeah, makes sense.
I might be flubbing the dates because I was 6 or 7. And
isn't it crazy now? Side story, but isn't it crazy now how it's just like we're older and it's just like, dude, why did we have one or the other? Why not just have both?
Well, it's super easy. I mean, no, I know why. Because if my kid was like screaming for a new console, I wouldn't buy them all of them.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Were they really that expensive back then?
They were. Yeah, they were.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dude,
when you look at like inflation, the cost of game consoles and games in the past is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, when you look back at some of the old like Atari games and stuff, when you account for inflation, they were like multiple hundreds of dollars for one cartridge.
Here,
It's crazy.
Just for reference, this is without inflation. This is a Toys R Us ad from 1996, the year that the Nintendo 64 came out. It was $129.99 for a Super Nintendo.
Whoa!
It was.
I mean, I guess
it was $59.99 for a copy of Madden 97.
That's the crazy part. Is the games are the same price now?
Yeah.
like that's
So,
buck wild.
yeah,
like when
I guess
people
that's true.
like, because a lot of people were complaining about the Last of Us remake being $70. It's like, like. When you adjust for inflation, like Nintendo games were like $140. Here's where it gets wild. NBA Hang Time. I'm sure all of us have played NBA Hang Time. No? Just me and Steve?
I remember NBA Jam. I don't play sports games. Unless they're gimmicky, like NBA Jam.
So NBA Hang Time was like the serious version of NBA Jam. Like if you played basketball games, like it was like the simulator version. It was $70 in 1996.
Dear God!
And with a coupon, you could have gotten Donkey Kong Country 2 or Yoshi's Island for $53.
Okay,
that's actually fuck, that's still expensive.
I would pay $53 today for a copy of Yoshi's Island, complete in box sealed.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
heads up, like straight up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the money sucks. Except unless it's working in my favor, then it's great. Okay, who have we?
I think we're just
Rob?
you.
Just no Rat. Oh yeah, I can go.
Oh
first.
yeah, Rat.
But, wait. But anyway, back on track. So I played Super Mario World a lot at friends' houses, or when I had my tonsils taken out. The hospital had a Super Nintendo, and that's where I really put the meat into the game, was when I had to stay in the hospital for a few days, and that's all I did was play Super Mario World.
And that was the beginning of your Munchausen syndrome.
Pretty much.
Started faking injuries to start being in the hospital more often. Nice, cool. Well, yeah, my hospital didn't have video games. I've seen that in pediatric wards today, actually. But okay. I'm a nurse, by the way, IRL, in case this doesn't get edited and you're like, why is Vicky hanging out in pediatric wards? I'm a nurse.
He's just loitering. My favorite
I'm
spot.
a nurse. I'm a nurse in real life. So like,
Just
I've
a chill
been in
place to
hospitals
hang.
a lot. Market research for the pod. No. Okay. And then Rat, tell us about your experience with Super Mario World.
Super Mario World. I actually did not realize how much that I played this game as a kid until I replayed it a couple weeks ago. And then all of the memories started flooding back to me. Growing up, I know we had a Super Nintendo. We may have had just an NES as well. And I couldn't remember which Mario. It was this one, or I thought it was Super Mario Bros. That I remember playing a lot. But I think I played Super Mario World a lot more growing up, because just as soon as I booted this game up, it was like a tidal wave of memories and emotions and all the sounds and everything coming back. So I was like, oh my God, I remember this. And I wouldn't remember each level until I got to it. And then it all came back to me.
Yeah.
So I think Super Mario World is probably what I grew up playing. And then some, Super Mario Bros. Splashed in between, but I remember these graphics the most vividly. So it was a lot of this. I don't remember particularly being like hardcore about it or amazing at it. I just remember always playing, like just sitting on our carpeted floor in front of the TV playing Mario. Not a lot of distinct memories on it. And then the Super Nintendo came out, or the N64. And we bought our N64, and I think it came with Super Mario 64. And then that's where most of my memories rest, with playing that one. And then sprinkled throughout the decades, if anybody had a Super Nintendo with Super Mario World, I would kind of play intermittently and play like half a level and just die a lot. So I never really dove back into the game because it's really fucking hard.
It is, yeah. It's pretty darn hard.
So, I mean, that's, the fairly vague memories, but I know it was a staple in my home growing up. Just murky memories of always sitting down on the ground playing it in the living room.
Yeah, and actually that dovetails nicely with my history of it. So my siblings had a original NES. I'm the youngest by like 10 years. So like they truly came up with like, gaming as it, became a modern, like a staple in households. And so that we had an NES. I have memories of an NES in our first home, and I have memories of playing Mario, the original, and watching my siblings play it as well. But it always kind of felt like their game and their system. And then when I was probably 4, 5, 6, a spoiled child. My parents got me a Super Nintendo, and it was, then the Super Nintendo was like, this one is mine. This is not like my siblings didn't play it or whatever. They were leaving for college around that time. My sister was, at least. I mean, not that they didn't play it. I wasn't like a brat, like, no. But it was like, it was like my Christmas present or whatever. And so this Mario was, again, kind of similar to Rat. I don't have specific memories of, my father whittled this Mario for me bare hands and gave it to me and said, keep this close to your heart. I don't have like an amazing memory, but this is like my Mario experience growing up. Like this was my, which you would think I'd be better at it if that were the case. But like this, when I think of when I think of like 2D Mario, this is what pops in my head. It's just like a wash of memories of playing it at a friend's house. Our NES was lost to time. I don't know what happened to our original NES, because by the time like I was forming like more concrete memories and like had like a this system, and also I got an N64 later. There was no NES in our household anymore. I don't know if it got wiped out in a horrible accident. I don't know if my parents pawned it. I don't know what happened to it. But so my experience with the original Mario was limited. And I went to a friend's house, and he had an NES, and that was my experience with Mario 3. And I don't know if it's nostalgia, but this is I feel like this game is the strong. I don't know. This always felt like the strongest 2D Mario of that era, of the NES/SNES era, which we can talk about in a little bit. But yeah,
I think as we discuss it, we're gonna dig up that exact sentiment and why it works.
Yeah, I think so too, personally. And some people not though. Some people like. There's a large group of people whose favorite Mario is actually Super Mario 3, which I can, so we can get into that. So yeah, that's our experience with the game. Let's see. So let's actually talk about. I'll springboard into the discussion of the actual specifics of the game, and I'm going to start with visuals. I think, because that is what I think this game nails more. And so obviously, hold on. Let me go down to my little notes. To me, that is the thing that makes this game stand out as far as a 2D Mario. I don't, and I'm not like technically knowledgeable enough to really know what it is. Obviously, they had more powerful hardware, so the other games are kind of fighting with their hand tied behind their back. But to me, it's the color palette. Like this game just like feels so bright, like all these like massive primary colors. It feels like the most whimsical of the original 2D Marios to me.
Everything pops so well in this game. Like it's the specific way it was, like the color, and I don't know the curves, not to be weird about it, but like the curves of all the shapes and like everything is just so seamless and pleasing to look at. Like it looks complete.
Yeah. And it's really cool too, because like, you'll look at modern games and a lot of times they'll put like an outline around something to make you see like what you're supposed to see, but they never had to do that. Like everything fits perfectly into the world, but if you're supposed to see something, you like see it. It's really cool. And yeah, it is like the colors, the shapes, everything's so fucking cute in this game.
Yeah. Well, just to give like, because I know like we're probably going to focus on the color palette quite a bit. For context, at its peak, an NES could do 56 colors. Period. Like it could do 56 colors, and I think it could do 13 at one time. Like it could make 56 colors, but you can only have 13 at a time. That's why a lot of colors get reused in NES games. With the jump to the Super Nintendo, it could display 32,768 unique colors. And
that's a larger number.
It could do 256 colors at once.
Dang. Wow. I mean, it's crazy that we're like blown away when we have like supercomputers. Like in the context of that time, yeah, it's incredible.
That's crazy. I'm gonna pay attention to that when I play between the two systems. I'm gonna actually
count.
Honestly,
see if I can notice that. Like, it's interesting.
So, if you want to do that, the ultimate example I can give you is play any of the original NES Marios and then play All Stars on the Super Nintendo, because you'll get a one-to-one comparison. Because that's how Super Mario World started its development, was they ported Super Mario 3 to the SNES. To see like what they could do with it. And Miyamoto walks in and he goes, "It's the same game, do something different." And then he bounced.
Yep. Like, fucking figure it out.
The colors are great, especially coming off of like the previous titles too. Like in the original Mario, it's kind of just like blue and brown for the most part, unless you're in like the castles or like the underground, and it's a little different. In Mario 2, I feel like there's a little bit more color in it, but at the same time it's kind of like grainy, in a way. And then you go back to Mario 3 and it's kind of just like black and white for the most part, if I'm like remembering off the top of my head. Not really black and white, but there's like
it's very bland.
Yeah, it's very bland. That's a good way to say it. It's very bland color palette. So when you look at those three games and you compare it to Mario World, it's just like totally, like you said, the colors, it's the shapes, it's just everything. And I think if you even look at like future Mario, like the 2D Mario games, like the new Super Mario games, they look good, but there's not really that kind of charm to them. I think it's lacking that like that unique graphic style, I guess, that Super Mario World definitely brings. So even like compared to like the new Mario games, I do think it stands out the most.
Yeah. Well, and like I think too, this is a case where it isn't just the technology. Like there had to be an incredibly talented art team behind this game. Because when you compare it to other games from the Super Nintendo, which had access to the same technology, like the way that it looks is just, it's top notch. There's not a lot of things that can like stand on its level in terms of the way it looks.
I don't know how many of you have actually looked into the development of Super Mario World or saw like what the early builds looked like. But the color palette was lifted straight out of Super Mario 3. Like it had that sepia overtone.
Like even the sky in Super Mario 3, if I remember, well, let me double check. I believe it's like almost like dusk, like that. These games are defined by their first levels so hard, like so much. And I believe the first level of Super Mario 3 has like almost like a twilight or dusk background. I'm gonna look that up before I say it.
It's like tan, isn't it? Like
that's what I remember.
Like brown jumps out at me.
Yes, that's what's happening.
Like a brown, blackish, whitish.
So you know what it is? It's the title screen. Is brown. Is like dusk, and then I believe the first world is actually blue. I'm double checking.
According to my Google search, it's like a teal, but it's
not. It is teal. Okay,
but not quite. Like it definitely has like a twilighty feel. Like I could see why you would be like, yeah, it's kind of, like dusky. Yeah. Like it definitely, like if you compare it to either the remake for Super Nintendo or Game Boy, like in those versions, it's obviously a clear blue sky, and in this one, it's just like it's not, but it's probably just more than anything, it's probably just a limitation of the NES, because that's what
probably
because like that color bleeds into like the HUD for Super Mario 3.
Oh yeah. Oh, true. Yeah. Because what it is, it's like I'm looking at screenshots now. It's like Super Mario 3. The title screen is brown. The overworld brown, and then the first world does have that color. But you're right.
Yeah, that's what
I was kind of like deep, rich blue that you that Super Mario 3 comes out, or Super Mario World comes out. Mm-hmm. What I was gonna say is that Nintendo, at least in its I mean, I guess it's still its heyday. I was about to say Nintendo's not still relevant. It's just ridiculous. But they just did such a good job of like, this game came out either with or shortly after the release of the actual system, and Nintendo just like is so good at kicking open the door and showing what a new system can do. They did that with N64 with like Mario 64 and Zelda. Like, like they just, this game just like, and they do that. A huge chunk of that is just visuals. Like the literal first impression of visuals and music is always just like so strong. They just are clearly so cognizant of like, we need to grab people immediately. We need to immediately show why this system is, is the new kid on the block or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, I think the visuals of this game, I love the way the map, which I was going to talk more about the map and gameplay, but I love how the visuals of the map change. Like when you like beat worlds and stuff, not only does it open up secrets, which again, that's really innovative and great. We can talk about that in a minute, but like the hills, like will like have like little bandages on them and stuff. Like it's just so cute. Everything is just so like cute and reactive to the player, like for its time. It's so good. And then apparently, if you beat 100% the game, I found out the map changes to a hellscape, which I didn't know.
It's less a hellscape and more like it's like fall and Halloweeny. It's really cute.
I think there's some deeper lore to that, which I've gone down some rabbit holes, and we'll discuss that later.
Well, good, because I have nothing for talking about the story, so maybe you can get into like the deeper aspects of the Mario lore, because I did not know that. Yeah, and so I think going hand in hand with its presentation, especially up front, is the audio of this game, which Zach's little presentation, his elevator pitch touched. I mean, again, I guess we're just great minds. He touched on a lot of points that I was like, oh yeah, I felt the exact same way, and I had written down. We did not like coordinate it at all, but the music in this game is fantastic. But I was surprised at how little of it is like, I guess, like iconic.
There's a reason. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear the reason, because like what struck me is that like it made me realize like, oh, all of the truly iconic Mario music is from Mario 1. Like, I mean, I immediately remembered the main songs when I heard them, but I was like, but this isn't the songs that people think of when they think of Mario. Zach, do you know why? It sounds like you have a little bit of a tidbit on why that might be the case.
So basically, when it came time to developing for the Super Nintendo, they just everybody from all levels could do things they couldn't do before. And focusing just for music, Koji Kondo decided he was going to reuse a lot of the musical overtones from Super Mario Brothers 3, but they would be more fleshed out. So he did some rearrangements for those. His goal was is that he wanted people to like recognize the music from Mario 3, because Mario 3 was it's one of the best selling games on the original Nintendo that wasn't a pack-in. And he thought that the player would be like, yeah, you know, like there's a theme here. Like these games are connected through music. So what he did was he changed up instruments. And he could do more with like waveforms just based off of, you know, the Super Nintendo hardware. So he didn't really write a whole lot of new music. He just went back and took stuff that they had, tried to modernize it. And then I think one of my absolute favorite musical touch in this game is when you get on Yoshi. And a lot of people don't notice, but the music changes when you get on Yoshi.
It's bongos.
Yep. You know, so they were just doing stuff like that. It's just more of like an opportunity to like play with a new toys. You know, it's like, let's see what we can do. So I think it's pretty much a universal opinion that like, yeah, like when people are like, you know, Super Mario World, what do you think of the music? They're like, it's good. Can you name a song? And they're just like, no. You know, you like the only ones that come to mind are like the Yoshi Island theme, like the first thing you get, and then the Bowser Castle music. Like those are the only two that stand out.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably fair.
I do think it's a little unfair to compare it to like arguably like the greatest video game soundtrack of all time, like the most iconic like Mario theme. You know what I mean? I do think there's some good songs in there.
There are.
Yeah, I really loved the music in this. And I think too, like, that's a tradition, what Zach is describing, that I feel like they've continued throughout the Mario games. You know, like you'll play a modern Mario game and they'll still have like a modernized version of the old theme songs. And I really like that. It's cool, and it brings that like nostalgic feeling of Mario back immediately into the experience that you're having.
Yeah, like there's a lot of reoccurring songs in future Mario games that they use from this game. Like the Bowser's theme, like you said, the Yoshi, you know, da 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 da, like, you know, that's constantly in like almost in every Mario game. I don't remember if they have the Hub World song in many Mario games going forward, but like even that song I think is pretty catchy for like Hub World.
I think maybe I didn't make what I more meant was that I expected more of Super Mario 1's music in this one. I guess that's more what I was saying. Like the new, it's more that they struck out in a different direction with a lot of the themes entirely. I wasn't shitting on like, oh, like, this music sucks. It's just more that like that, like I'm not sure. I'm sure it probably weaves its way into other themes in future games, but like it isn't. It didn't use the old game, and I feel like it's not as you know, because I mean Nintendo knows that it's not as iconic. I guess I just feel like I don't feel that theme as often in other games, but I'm sure it's probably because I haven't been paying attention. I'm sure it probably is weaved in and out. I do love that overworld theme, like super good, a lot. I feel like it's okay. So I'm just going on feels here. I don't have like, it's not like a, you know, like a objective thing. I do have some objective stuff to point out, but I feel like it's not as obviously immediately identifiable as the original theme, but it feels more like, to me, it's like more fun and like kind of what Zach was saying. Like they knew they had like the full power of this new thing, and the sound design 100% takes advantage of it. Like they're just doing things that they couldn't do. I think they had 4 channels of sound for the NES, I think, and then they have 8 channels for this one. And the main themes are using all 8 of those channels. Like the bongos touch with Yoshi is such a good touch that Zach pointed out. But they do that all the time. Like even without Yoshi, just like the song will loop, but then like the second time around, they'll have like percussive like accents and like harmonic accents. The bass line is this like you don't notice it when you're playing the game, but if you actually go and like listen to the soundtrack or it's like this funky walking bass line the whole time. I don't know. It just feels so fun and like free and light. And, you know, and another thing that they're doing is, I don't know if this is apparent, but they're actually reusing the same thing for everything. So the that is used in all the levels. So the spooky level is just that, but slow down and spookified. The water theme is that, but then they put it in like a 3/4 time, and they all have different like harmony to kind of like emphasize different things. It feels like really lackadaisical and stuff.
The sky levels, very up-tempo version.
Yep. But I feel like playing it, I didn't feel that. Like, it didn't feel lazy. It didn't feel like... It's just really great, masterful, like, scoring work.
It should be noted that this wasn't just, like, a copy-paste. Like, he spent... Koji Kondo, he spent 18 months on the soundtrack.
No, each song is its own composition with a familiar melody. Like, they are all different songs. Like, to the extent where, like, it didn't even click with me until I was going back and listening to it for this episode. I was like, oh, this is the same thing.
Yeah, I took very particular notice of picking up on, basically, they took the main theme and they ran with it throughout the whole game, and they just completely would redo it and change it just a little bit, but it was still that same song. And I really, really enjoyed how they tailored it to each level and made it sound, so familiar yet still very different and fit the environment. I thought that was a really nice touch, and I really liked it, like hitting the water levels. I think the cave was different. No, the cave even had...
No, the underground was different. The underground is... I think so. The bass line might be referencing the melody, but it's different. I actually like the underground music for this one better than the iconic original Mario underground music. I like the understated, like, boop, 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 boop. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Rat.
If you do listen to the underground music long enough, like, that main melody does show up.
Oh, it does. It's maybe just slowed down to
very slow.
It's difficult
very
to pick
slow.
Out. Yeah. Yeah, it really, and like kind of what Zach was saying, it doesn't feel, some people could do that. It's just like, oh, limited resources or laziness. But with Koji Kondo at the helm, like, it's clearly just like,
no, this was intentional.
So
like
good.
He was trying to, he was trying to do something different, and I think it works. It's just, it ends up, I think what kind of you get sandwiched in with, like, this is a 30-year-old game. Super Mario 64 comes out, and that soundtrack's just an absolute banger. And that's another evolution where, hey, we can do like MIDI sound. Like, let's get wild with it. But like, just tying in with like the soundtrack, I think the sound effects work in this game is top notch. For a Super Nintendo game, like, I don't know how many of you picked up on this, but when you're in the underground, everything echoes. Like, I don't think that had been done in a game up until that point. Like, in the 90s,
I doubt they had the power to do it.
It's just like in the 90s, like, Nintendo was doing stuff that you couldn't even really do on a PC.
So yeah, the music, because they reuse that theme in such creative ways, but like reinvent it so many times, it does a really good job of like creating unique moods for every level and every experience. But the whole thing feels tied together. The whole thing feels like one unique, like, or one like unified piece, one unified like world and setting, and it's really good. I mean, it's something that's been done for, like, for movies and for, other scores and stuff, but seeing Nintendo kind of get the jump on it in such a fun, like, upbeat, lively way is, fantastic. Feels great. And regarding the sound effects, I love the sound of every single sound effect in this game is iconic. Most notably, like, the sound of Yoshi is I know he's been revamped now. I'm like, Yoshi, but that is what Yoshi sounds like. You can't tell me otherwise. And they do a really good job of, like, not only is every sound is very satisfying, but they get the sound of things that are happening in the real world, and the way they sound in this game sounds nothing like it does in the real world, but it makes sense in this game. So, like, my example that I have for this is like and I'm going to play it for the listener, dear baby listener, you'll hear now, you'll hear an example. But when the door opens to whenever you go in a door and it goes, like, I think particularly in the dungeons or the castles, and maybe every time you open a door, but that rip, 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 rip sound, like,
like a small series of farts.
Yeah, exactly. But cute farts, like adorable toots. it sounds nothing like a door opening. That's not what a door opening sounds like. But then like it's such a satisfying sound. Like you are just lost in it. And you're like, door opened. Like your brain just doesn't process it. It just translates it to door opening, but cuter than real life door opening. It's like the sound design is fantastic, to say the least, I think.
I thought you were going to go somewhere much worse, like stomping on a turtle does not sound at all appropriate. I was like, what is he talking about? What kind of a sound doesn't translate to real life in this?
Yeah, so now I'm going to play a sound of a horrible, like someone stomping on a turtle.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. It's going to be too morbid for the pod. We'll see. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the
I think just to touch on how satisfying and reactive the sounds are, it really is. Every hopping on top of Yoshi and then the little bongos going in the back, it gets you hyped without knowing you're getting hyped. You're like, it's fucking Yoshi time. Let's go. Like you're sitting up a little straighter. You've got the bongos. You're bobbing your head. You're like, I'm ready to do some Yoshi shit. You know, the super pouncing on top of people as Yoshi, that extra like bassy boom
thump
when you hit them.
Yeah.
Hitting the little Goombas when you either jump on them or you knock them with a shell and it's like bloop, 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 bloop. It's so incredibly satisfying and crisp. Like every different enemy that you land on top of or you knock out and kill, it's just very well done because it's, I guess the best word, it's satisfying to activate every one of those sounds, and you just feel pleased. Like it's great. It's a great experience.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like they just, in my opinion, nailed video game sounds very early. I mean, very early relative to the life of video games. I guess they had a minute to do it, like a decade or whatever. But yeah, it just compared to like the Atari sounds, which I know like that's over a decade later. But like, yeah, sound design would not be where it is were it not for Nintendo, and maybe even specifically this game. Yeah, it's so good. Any other thoughts on sound before we kind of like truck along?
I guess I would say just like, and I mean, we kind of like hinted at this, but just to say it like explicitly how cool it is, both with the sound and visuals, what a wide variety of environments they were able to create and how fun they all are. Like you have forests and caves, you have underwater, you have ghost houses, you have outer space, and like it all feels unified and fun and satisfying. Like they just really knocked it out of the park in using those resources to make that world.
Yeah.
The level complete like sound too is also very satisfying as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The little song they play at the end or whatever.
Yeah. Is it the same one? Is it the is it the same one? Oh yeah.
Then it does that like woo, like the zoom in or whatever.
And Mario gets like this little swagger strut.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Even that's just like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Oh gosh, it makes me. I want to play the game right now. Just talking about the sound.
You want to save scum your way through the game? You mean?
Shut the fuck up, Steve!
Motherfucker. Sorry, it was there. I had to eat the low hanging fruit.
I guess. What do y'all want to talk about next? I guess we could do story. I have very little to speak of about the story, which was fine. Not every game has a story, but
I mean, there's really not ever a story with Mario, is there? Bowser steals Peach or Toadstool, depending on what era, and then
except for Mario RPG,
you go get them.
I'm interested to hear this conspiracy theory that Rat was teasing.
Yeah, that's
earlier.
where that's why I'm bringing it up. I want to see
because other than
this
like, you know, oh, Peach got stolen and the Yoshis are all captured. There's really not much to talk about.
And how insane it is going to be if it's an actual conspiracy theory or if it's Rat's like
ramblings,
depraved mind has made up a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Yeah. He dreamed about it or something. It was like, whoa.
No. Listen. No one else has talked about this, but I think there's something there. Okay, I've dug deep into this, and I have legitimate. I have footing to stand on. Okay, with how.
We need. Hang on. You need to play like
the
X-Files music in the background.
Okay, so dear baby listener, this is not going to be the story segment. This is going to be the conspiracy corner with Rat.
Yeah.
All right, listen. Okay, I'm just saying. So I think face value. This is a wonderful, like magical world of Mario, and it's all a veil, and there's much darker, deeper undertones, and so Mario is it's a cautionary tale of the folly of man and our destructive wake that we bring behind us. So what we have here is we have the only human other than, I guess, Peach enters this world, this utopia of animals, right? And if you notice throughout the story, in Mario's wake, he's industrializing. He's chopping down forest. He's building roads. He's cutting across the oceans. So he's industrializing in his wake. And what does he do? He violently and brutally murders only animals, all animals, in vicious, spiteful ways. He just this destruction of death behind him. And when you notice like the band-aids on the mountains and stuff, as he is, every castle that he kills gets more personal with his methods, his methods of destruction. And you can see there's the band-aid on the mountain in the background. He's scarring the land. And what his reward by the end of getting his master achievement of beating all the star roads, and then we see the veil is lifted and we see the dark reality of scorched earth as the whole map changes, and there's no longer Goombas, but there's little Mario man faces hopping around. So he's starting to breed humans into this world, and it looks horrifying. That's it. Like this
Urukai.
We started in a pure world of just animal society, and here comes this one man who's then industrializing and then starting to leave more humans behind, and it's this horrible scorched earth. And now we really get into where it gets a little darker is when he captures Yoshi. So you'll notice, to do his bidding, when Mario is riding Yoshi, I had actually another friend of mine pointed this out, and I'll never unsee it. Every time you command Yoshi to do something, Mario punches him in the back of the head.
No. Really?
Go watch.
Does, yeah.
Mario punches Yoshi, a full arm swing, elbow cock in the back of the head, and Yoshi squeals. So not only is he murderous to all animals, he's cruel. He's leaving scorched earth in his wake.
He'll sacrifice Yoshi on a dime if it gets him like extra foot of vertical leap.
True.
He will, and he does.
Yeah.
And this is why he's going into these houses and he's stealing more Yoshis so he can breed them to get his farm up and running, because he knows how little he cares about Yoshi and how often, if he sees a secret exit, he'll double jump across the sky, hop off Yoshi, say, see you later, fucker, and then get in that exit and go. Like, he doesn't care about Yoshi. I just think there's undertones definitely that you could pull from this story that kind of peel back the veil. If you watch what Mario does and what he leaves behind, it's sort of the cautionary tale of man and nature.
We're not going to talk about story anymore. It's just going to be Rat's breakdown. That is it. That's the story section of the pod. Like, that's so gameplay. We can talk about story if you want, but if I'm editing it, I will probably just make it be his.
I think it's best we move on.
Yeah.
There's no story.
Yeah, there's not.
Like you're saving a princess, you're saving the Yoshis, and there may or may not be dark undertones.
There is now, apparently.
It's sort of funny.
So
the story
obvious.
is the one kind of like perfunctual part of it.
I will say, Q, if you came up with that on the cuff on your own, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, so I've heard things of like, oh, Mario's actually a murderer, like jokes, but I've never heard this specific take on Mario World.
Right,
so.
like it's all like a drug trip. He's tripping off mushrooms.
Yeah, but
like I've never heard anything like this, and I was like, let's look it up and see if anybody else.
This is just what I've noticed throughout my playthrough. I was like,
this is the way. I am not surprised at all if Rat came up with this. This is how his mind works. Like, I've known him for a while. Like, I mean, but the evidence is there. Like
the evidence is there. Go watch the Yoshi clips. Go command Yoshi to do something. You'll see you'll see the violence.
Fake news, deep fake.
It is funny too, as like a counterpoint in the Mario versus Sonic debate, because like Sonic is an animal fighting an industrialist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Oh my gosh, guys! I think this
Sonic is the video game character of the people.
Oh my god! Is Sonic 3,000 years in the future, and Mario becomes Dr. Robotnik?
Mario is Dr. Robotnik. Confirmed. God,
No.
they both wear red.
He ate too many meatballs.
They both wear red and have huge mustaches.
Oh.
It's undeniable.
See, after too much inbreeding, Mario has ruined the bloodline of Yoshi, so he sees this new creature called Sonic, and he's like, I must capture him and bend him to my will.
Wait, what happens? It goes even deeper. What happens if Mario vs. Sonic at the Olympic Games was where Mario turned evil?
Oh,
Sonic beat him.
Yeah, Mario.
And he was like,
So,
I mean, there is a theory that that's like Super Mario Brothers, going back to the original game. It is pro Mushroom Kingdom propaganda, because we are never shown the world through the lens of the Koopas.
Oh.
We are only seeing it through the eyes of Mario, because I mean, realistically, like you fall in this world and you start killing
Victor's
stuff.
write the history. Yeah. Yeah. So what happens? The timeline. Mario does this, rules Dinosaur Island, extends an invitation to the Olympics. To Green Hill Zone
in Tokyo or Vancouver, wherever they are.
Extends Green Hill Zone an invitation to compete. Gets a first look at the power that is Sonic, and then just goes through it just ramps up his industrialization further and further and further, like contorting himself and then the world around him to become more powerful until he's ready to attack the Green Hill Zone. And then that's where Sonic picks up. I think this is the official timeline. And I now cannot be convinced otherwise.
It's canon. Book it.
Book it. Yeah.
Goat Games canon.
Yeah. So if this conspiracy theory is going to launch our podcast to the top, like YouTube videos, like giant ugly thumbnails, this changes everything. Clickbait.
We're holding the smoking goat.
The smoking goat. Okay, well, gameplay. How do we feel about the gameplay, guys? I
mean, as far as platformers go, especially 2D side scrollers, I think this is the peak.
Yeah.
I feel like
really good.
The controls in this game are so tight. It's ridiculous. I don't even think New Super Mario Brothers controls were as tight as this.
Yeah. I felt so. Okay. The only thing I'm going to sound like an idiot. I'm probably wrong. It controls amazingly. I do. And this is a conscious choice on their part. It's obviously not a mistake, because I'm sure they spent hundreds or thousands of hours perfecting the way he moved. He is slipperier
his slick shoes
than I remember.
Drive me crazy.
Yeah.
And it's when he's baby Mario is super slippery, and it drove me nuts.
And I feel and it's obviously intentional, and it's there for the difficulty curve. The game's designed around it, so obviously it's not. But I remember whenever I think of Mario, I think of him being pixel perfect jumping, and he's a little slippery. And again, compared to a lot of modern platformer, I mean, every platformer, they consciously decide how slippery is he going to be, how floaty is he going to be. And so I found myself being dying in places where, I mean, I'm not an amazing gamer or whatever, but dying in places where if it wasn't slippery, I wouldn't have slipped off there, kind of thing. But it's very subtle. By and large, it's Mario, baby.
I can't say I noticed that too much.
I think it's supposed to just feel like forward momentum.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of games do away with that for the sake of like feel. But you're right, that's what it is. It's forward momentum. And like some games, it's like when you stop like stop on a dime. And in this game, it's more realistic.
It never felt bad to me. I mean, it definitely killed me sometimes, but it never felt like bad to me. And like you understand it early enough that it never felt unfair.
Correct.
It was like, oh yeah, I died there because I had more momentum than I should have going into this jump or like going next to this cliff or whatever. And you just like learn that that's part of the rules of how you play Mario.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's intentional. It's just not what I remember.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't really say I noticed that while playing. I mean, it's there, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just adjusted to it.
I noticed it. I noticed it in one very particular area, and it was the worst day of my life playing that.
Was that the castle level?
It was Roy's castle. Roy, that piece of shit. Roy Koopa. I think castle number 5, I'll never forget it. It was the worst day of my life.
You had a mental breakdown.
I was at the end of myself.
There. I saw it.
So, full disclosure, I've been playing the game the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I was just like, I just want to play. Like, I've been playing it while we're podcasting.
Oh, great. Good.
That's why his camera's off.
Yeah, that's why his camera's off.
No, my camera won't turn on. But I'm in Roy's castle right now. And I was just like, fuck this level.
Thank you. And the issue, okay, so it was in the beginning, and I guess this is a platformer thing.
It's the auto-scrolling blocks.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a platformer thing. Once you get tilted, if you can't pull out of that nosedive, it's over. And I got tilted one day while I was playing. I was streaming, and my chat was loving it. I was losing my mind. And until by the end of it, I just had no more anger left in me. I was just like emotionless husk. And I didn't even beat the level. I was like, I can't do this, guys. Goodbye. And I like closed my stream out and left but it was over an hour of trying to do. I think they counted like 36 deaths or something like that.
Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those up.
I got to the boss room once, and I didn't know that Roy stomps on the ground and stuns you. So the first time I got to the boss room, it caught me off guard, and then he killed me. And then I never got back into that room.
Never got back.
I was losing my absolute mind because I kept, in the beginning, the little side scrolly thing that you have to ride the bridge and it goes around the snake.
That's the worst part.
I kept
this is the
slipping
castle,
off of it.
That castle sucks butt.
I kept sliding off of it over and over and over again, no matter how many times that I couldn't control the little slip. And then sometimes the fireballs would get caught up into the top because there is an element of like weird RNG to this game.
They clip through. Like, I don't even know if it's RNG. I think they just clip through.
Oh, it was a bad time. But that is the one area where I noticed it the most, and it got to me because I was very tilted that day, and I could not focus anymore. It ruined me. And it was all the sliding.
If it makes you feel any better, when I was streaming this, I quit at that point too, for the exact same reasons. But I was like, I thought it was an issue with my controller, so I went through and booted up my SNES Classic that I played this through with my girlfriend not too long ago, and was like, is it me? And no, I think it's just with emulators. I think there's something to where it might feel just different enough where it feels off. Because when
maybe that's the issue too. Because like I said, I played it on the Super Nintendo.
Right. And because I was like, when I played it on the SNES Classic, like it felt fine. Like if it was still there, but it was like, oh yeah, like I can actually, like I can control this. But it's like on the emulator I used to stream, I was just like, I don't remember it ever being like this.
Interesting.
So Steve, you found a similar thing. You felt like it was tighter on your SNES?
Yeah, I felt like every time I died, it was like my fault.
Oh yeah,
as little as I like don't want to admit it.
But I think like for like that level in particular, it's probably something you could just chalk up to like the way the emulator processes the game is probably not 1-to-1. And it's creating just enough of a difference where you're like, what the hell? This doesn't feel right.
Or maybe you need to get good.
I mean, I don't know if I want to take advice on gaming from Figgy, but
yeah. Well, hey, so with Roy's Castle, I did find actually something that I don't know if it's like an exploit. I did find something that helped a lot. I remember that level being super frustrating. So if you play the game again, let me just recommend it's something called save states. Really helped me get through the gauntlet of Roy's Castle.
I remember I had the most devastating moment in Roy's Castle because like it is super hard. And I had watched Figgy play the end of the game because he got to the end of it before me. And there was a different snaky block level at the end. And in that one, when the snake block starts going down right at the end, you can write it down and there's an entrance with an H that you can grab. And so I thought I got confused which snake level was which and just rode the block down until it went off screen and I died. And the look on my face of just like just this was so hard and I just wasted it all.
Man, that's what you get for metagaming.
Devastating moment.
What can I say?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Take the game as it comes. So other gameplay stuff. I love the map in this game. The way the secrets. I loved finding secrets. Like it was like, again, I didn't find them all. I'm a plebe, blah blah blah. Alan's a bad gamer, but like, when you found a secret, it just felt so satisfying. And watching the map kind of morph and contort, I guess, to your evil will. Now that Rat said his piece, I can't like ever unthink of it in that way. But yeah, the map just feels. I saw one description that it's almost like a game board and stuff. And yeah, it's like you're not actively exploring the map, but by exploring the levels, you're exploring the map. It's a really cool feeling.
Exploration was very, very fun in this game. I was impressed with how well they did it and how many unique things you could find and discover just by replaying and replaying. Like you know when you get to that cheat room they put in at the haunted house in the beginning, where you go through and then which blows my mind that they put that in the game. I couldn't believe it. But I guess
the original save state.
It basically.
You can go and get infinite lives from that room. I'm just saying, like, we'll just throw that out there.
You can, and some of us did, because we didn't want a save state.
But like, how did somebody find that secret? If I wasn't told about it, I mean, some of the areas they put these secret spots are amazing. Like, I don't know how you would ever discover. Get your cape and right at the beginning of the level, fly up into the air, go backwards, and then go up top, and then boom, you're good. There were a couple of those that were just mind-blowing that people discovered them. And I couldn't imagine finding that on my own as a child. No way, no shot.
That kind of like brings us back a little bit to the discussion we were having earlier, though, about the cost of games historically. Yep. Because like back in the SNES days, you couldn't afford to have as many games as we do now. And the fact that they added all of those little secrets in, and this was pre-internet, so you probably had to find them yourself or your friend found them and told you about them, like adds such a level of replayability to the game because you're going to keep trying that level to see what's the thing that I'm missing. Mm-hmm. Where is it? There's more here and I want to get to it.
Going back to that, like building off the secrets, I'll knock a point off the game a little bit here. If you're trying to 100% the game, get the save file with the 96 and the star at the end, saying you 100% it. You have to find all the secret exits. There is no way to tell which ones you're missing.
Oh, yeah.
Which ones you need in the game.
That's true.
Unless you compare it to like a guide or, just like outside help or something. And even with the guide and like outside help, there's certain levels that's like, if you're missing one, it might be this one because the map doesn't even tell you if there's a road there, because it's previously unlocked through another level. So if you're trying to 100% the game, it would have been nice if like, you hovered over a level and it was like, I don't know, there was like an indicator or something that just said like, hey, you got the secret here, you're good.
Like
there's there's a little bit of one. So like it doesn't apply to ghost houses, but like with like a regular level will be yellow and a level with secrets will be red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the red doesn't shut off when you find the secrets.
Exactly.
So you can't tell if you found all the secrets if it has multiple exits.
Yeah.
Usually if it has multiple exits, it has a separate route. So like the map changing is supposed to be your indicator.
That's what I was saying though. There's a
couple that have like more than one secret exit though.
Yeah, because specifically, I guess my case, I'll just tell you my case because I tried 100%ing it. There was a level when you first walk into the forest that has 2 exits. So if you get the one exit, it unlocks the right path, which goes to like a lake. And if you get the secret exit, it goes to the left path, which unlocks like a ghost house. So if you go to the ghost house exit, there's also 2 other exits there. One will lead. It will continue going left to like another level, but the other ghost house exit is like the secret exit, and that will go right, which was the level you just did.
What?
So if you unlock the level,
it's the same way for the lake. The lake will connect you back up top.
It's like you're getting lost in the forest.
Yes.
Yeah, if you unlock the path that leads to the ghost house through the first level, then there's really no way like indicating that like, oh, I'm missing the secret level in the ghost level because that path is already unlocked through previous means or whatever.
Well, and that's
I don't know. It just would have been nicer if they'd like clean that up a little bit.
Yeah, no, and that goes to,
put something at the bottom that says like, oh, thumbs up or something. Something like anything.
Well, and I think that kind of
really
goes back to
nothing.
what Rob is saying. It's a good point that like there's not a lot of like indication. And like you can see the progress, right? So if you look at the original, not Mario, but I'm thinking of Zelda. The original Zelda was like opaque as fuck. Like they gave you nothing. They gave you nothing in terms of like this is what you need to do, this is where you need to go at all. No indication of anything. And then I think what you're seeing, I think what you're experiencing here in real time is like not in real time because it's past, so it's the opposite of real time, fake time. What you're experiencing is like the evolution of like they've realized, okay, people, how do we make a game hard versus frustrating, and like where is that line? And it's a line that games still have to figure out to this day, with different games, and so you're starting to see like little breadcrumbs, like well, let's give a little indicator that there's a secret here. And for some people, that's like Steve and stuff, and it's arguably not enough because it's I do think that in the woods, it's specifically to create the feeling of being lost in the woods, though. But it's not the only time that happens. And I was going to say something.
I wonder, I wonder how much of it is deliberate,
right,
as well, because for a long time. The term Nintendo hard was like, that was an industry term because of the limitations of the original Nintendo. Nintendo would artificially increase the difficulty of games so that they would feel like a better value proposition.
Right. And that's kind of what Rob was saying, is that like, these games were meant to like be like, some people like, this is the only game they had, like that they owned from Super Nintendo. So it's like, right. I will dump 70 hours into this, so whereas these days where it's like, we just kind of want to get through games. So.
Yeah. And also like the people who programmed those original games, a lot of those are the people who programmed arcade games and then got picked up by console manufacturers or people making games for consoles. And like arcade games are designed to eat your quarters. So they got to be really hard. And like those design philosophies, it took a while for the game industry to learn their way out of.
Yeah. And it's really cool going back and seeing that evolution, It's kind of like a microcosm of video game philosophy.
And then it went full circle. Like you start out with quarter munchers, and then gradually, through like the N64 era, things start to get a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. Then you get to like the PS3 and 360 era where it's like games have difficulty levels and it's pretty common for there to be like a story mode. And then Dark Souls comes out of nowhere and like, nah, we're going way back to the beginning. Get them quarters.
I guess it's just a little weird that like, because like you guys said, like in most cases, it does let you know because there's a path being unlocked. So it's like, in most cases, they did give you that indication, but there were just like a few that they didn't. And it just kind of feels like, okay, either do it or don't, you know, like.
Well, and one thing I found myself struggling with, not struggling, I mean, I got through the game, but one thing that, and I'm still not sure, y'all can answer the question for me, Mr. Elite 100% gamers. Can you find every secret your first time going through a level? Do some secrets require like the blocks, the special blocks? That's like, I'm not really sure, because sometimes I would get to a secret level.
I think some do. You have to have the special blocks to get to a couple secrets.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Is I would look around and be like, well, I can see a secret block thing is here. Maybe I need that.
I think you either have to have the special blocks. A lot of those, like the people who are like Kaizo level players have like ways of getting around those. But for a normal player, yes, you would need the blocks.
It's expected to get the blocks.
Yeah. So I did a couple of the secrets on one of my streams where it was like, yeah, let's see if I can do this without in the unintended way. And there are definitely ones where it's like, if I had the power block, like, yeah, this would be easy, but I don't. So let's see what I can do. And it's like, if you have a cape or a Yoshi, you can kind of cheese your way through a lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's another thing you could talk about, I guess, is the cape is so broken. It's so much fun, but it's so broken.
Well, I think it's one of my favorite. So gut check, this is out of nowhere, so if y'all don't, I mean, but like, I think the cape might be my favorite, again, because of nostalgia largely. I think it might be my favorite Mario power-up.
It's up there.
Ever. I mean, probably just because of nostalgia, and like, I remember being so excited getting the cape when I was a kid. Do y'all have a favorite power-up from this Mario game or any other Mario game?
The cape. I never wanted to touch the fireball or anything like that. And I didn't even realize how I realized throughout the playthrough how powerful the cape was. At first, I couldn't fly at all. I didn't even know how to fly. I just dive bombed straight into the ground. I never used the spins or anything like that. And then by the end of beating the game the second time, I understood the true power and potential of the cape. And what's kind of an interesting note between the secret power-up room where you can get infinite lives and capes and Yoshis and all that stuff, between that and having the cape being so OP, they almost pulled, I'd almost say like an Elden Ring on the sense of this game can be as difficult or easy as you would like it to be.
Save states with extra steps, people.
Okay.
Fucking it's the same thing.
I'm just saying, like, you could choose not to use the cape to its full potential and not use the super power-up room and play it in harder mode. Or if you wanted to lessen the difficulty, then you can go get the cape and breeze through levels. Like, you have the option to play it how hard you want to play it.
Yeah. And completely organically within the game without having to have like easy mode. Again, you brought the comparison to Elden Ring. Exactly. Very similar thing. Any other, I mean, I feel like we talked about a lot of the stuff in the gameplay. I mean, the jump is perfect. Mario is slippery, but I think he has the right amount. His jump is the jump in platformers. Like, it's the perfect amount of floatiness and precision.
Yeah, I think where this game lacks in like the plot, it makes up for it in like the controls and the gameplay.
Yeah,
I think that's just kind of like the overarching theme of the game.
Think one really cool part with the gameplay too is how they took the simple elements of a couple different types of jumps and running and managed to come up with so many different types of challenges. You know, there's levels where it's a platformer level and the challenge is learning to do the platforming. There's levels like the Ghost House where, you know, you have the platform mechanics, but really it's about like looking around and figuring out where the secret pieces are and which one you need to go in and remembering. And then there's, you know, levels where just for like one level, they'll add in some weird mechanics. Like one that really sticks out in my mind because I really struggled with it was this level where like you'd like jump on a platform and it would slowly lower but raise another one. And you had to like jump and rest on it long enough while the other one raised up high enough, but not too long so that it got higher than you could jump to, and like do that a series of times to like make it across this big cavern. You know, there's just like, or chasm, there's just like so many different cool things, or like water levels too. There's so much variety in terms of levels acting in different ways depending on what they chose to do with them and how they wanted you to challenge them. That's really cool when you consider how like simple the core piece of the puzzle is.
Yeah, and Nintendo's the master at that, right? Like it's they're the masters at teaching you a mechanic and then testing you on that mechanic and then upping the ante on that mechanic and then seeing what they can do with that one mechanic. Like, I mean, it's classic game design, like mastered by Nintendo and Mario specifically. Go ahead, Zach. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. Like, you know, you really get to see like, even they keep doing that even in the technical, like quote unquote last level of the core game. You know, I don't think that light mechanic is in any other level that I can think of.
Yep.
Yeah, you just get the feeling they have so many ideas that like, and they don't have enough game to put them all in. Like, you know, like
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because that's exactly where Yoshi came from.
Oh, really?
Yoshi was intended to be in the original game, but because of hardware limitations, they obviously couldn't do it. And it was just like something that Miyamoto had always wanted, was in the back of his mind, was he's like, I want a dinosaur companion. And that was like the first thing he was like, no, dinosaur companion, like make that happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I mean, you can tell that just the team and the developers and Miyamoto himself were just like, they had too much ideas for the game. And that's such a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And it shows. It's one of the most polished games of all time, I feel like. I mean, obviously nothing is perfect, but yeah. So I have other segments in our discussion. I mean, do we really need to talk about cultural significance in gaming history? Like we can. I mean, we kind of already have. We've mentioned it. We've weaved it kind of throughout, but like, yeah, it is one of the most important games. Is it a greatest? Who knows? We'll find out. But certainly one kind of most important.
Yeah, one kind of cool cultural aspect of it is the like Kaizo world, where it's like, this is the game for, there's a couple other games people will make Kaizo levels. If you're not familiar with Kaizo, they're like super hard hacks of games, and you can do them for other games. So there's like Kaizo Pokemon or whatever, but the word Kaizo is almost synonymous with Super Mario World Kaizo. And there's like this huge world of people who play these insanely hard hacks that are based on this game. They use the mechanics, they use the assets from this game, and just make the hardest fucking level they can. And I think that's another impact that it's had, is like that world that's built out of people who love this game so much that they want to explore the limits of what you can do with it.
Well, I think the other thing, like when you want to touch on like Kaizo Mario, it is like the response from Nintendo wasn't like, hey, we got to shut this down. They made Super Mario Maker because there was just, like there was enough of a demand for ROM hacks where it was like, hey, we could just make a game out of this.
Yep.
Cool. Any other thoughts before we get to the final judgment?
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite version of Super Mario World, because it has had multiple releases?
I don't. Whichever one was a kid, and then the emulator one I just played. So
Figgy's favorite is whichever one has save states.
Whichever one lets him cheat.
Yep, that's true. Whichever one I can cheat, and also cheat with the least amount of work. Like, I don't know how to hack. I just whichever one. I'm a cheater about cheating. I want the cheats for the cheats. Like
I love that you're leaning into it now.
Yeah, no, it's my identity. Is I'm bad at games and I work around it. I'm work hard and work smarter, not harder. That's what I'm leaning into, baby. Okay, let's talk about let's cast the judgment. Let's determine. So, we brought up again behind the scenes that the person who does the elevator pitch should start, because it's usually the elevator pitch is going to be by someone who likes the game, and so there's the least amount of tension there. So Zach, take us away. Do you think this is a GOAT? And if not, why or why not?
So 100% this is a GOAT. And I'm going to add on to it, I think it is the best Mario game, full stop.
Wow, that's a hot. I mean, not hot like isn't bad. But
It's not it's not like a scorching hot take.
Yeah,
I feel like if you sit down and you're like, what are the best Mario games? You're going to be Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World, Super Mario Galaxy, or Super Mario 64.
Yeah, or the original, just for precedent. But yeah.
I don't think anybody I imagine there's somebody who's like, yeah, the original is my favorite. But I feel like when you discuss like the franchise as a whole, there's going to be that person that's like, well, you can't discount what the original did. But I don't think if you're ranking the games, I would be surprised if anybody put the original at the top.
Yeah, as they are now.
I want to shout out my boy Mario Sunshine, but I think I'm the only person on that bandwagon.
Yes, Rob! Go off, Queen!
We need to do that one because we're going to be very divided if we do Super Mario Sunshine.
I honestly I enjoyed Sunshine. It's just it was just like Super Mario 64 was a hard act to follow. But I do think Sunshine's a great game. Like it would be easier for me to list Mario games I don't like than ones that I absolutely love.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah. All right. That's one goat. Time for I'm making this my canon.
Did you see how much work I put into that elevator pitch? Like I only shared it with Figgy because I was just like, hey, is this too much? And he's like, no.
It was beautiful.
He's like, this is great. And then I rehearsed it with my girlfriend and she goes, I really want to go play Super Mario World.
I wish you talked about me this way. No, just kidding. Yeah. And that's kind of, I think that's why the elevator pitch person should go first, because it's more or less like they've said their piece up front, so now comes my way of choosing who goes next, which I guess I'm just going to make like part of the thing is eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Captain Tiger, Bobby Stone. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Rat.
I'm just gonna come right out with it. The game's a GOAT.
Yep.
It's very difficult. It was incredibly frustrating at times, but for the most part, it felt fair. It felt like a solid game mechanic wise. It was beautiful. I would even say that the artwork looked like it was ahead of its time compared to a lot of other games that came out even a couple years in front of it. The art was just so solid. It was, I mean, obviously it's Mario. He's a staple. It's a go. It's a go. Especially, I played a couple other platformers within the decade around that, and none of them felt as solid and as good as Super Mario World did. It had its shit together. It knew what it was doing, and it did it very, very well. And it still holds up because I had a lot of fun playing it. 30 years later? Whenever that came out, 30 years.
100 years. If you want to get technical, in a month it will be the 31st anniversary.
Oh, that was intentional then. That's why we did this episode.
Yep, exactly.
Planned ahead of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some launch for that too, right? A month later.
No,
exactly. Coming out on the anniversary. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out, and we're gonna release this episode on the anniversary. I've planned ahead of time, and I'm just that. And
the original release was November 21st, 1990, so that would make it the 32nd anniversary.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it is well deserving of its title, and even among all the other Marios, I think this one stands at the top. And you can, if we're talking about its genre of the 2D side scroll, because Mario moves into a bit of a different world later on as technology advanced. So in the realm of what this kind of game is, it's right there at the top of it. I think it's fantastic, it's solid, and it absolutely deserves the title of a GOAT.
Hell yeah.
I'm honestly surprised because I watched Q stream it. I was like,
and fall apart.
I watched the Roy Castle meltdown of 2022, and I thought, man, he's gonna turn on this game real quick.
I was viciously and violently pissed off at this game. I was mad, but I have to give it its fair shake. And it, as much as I hate it, I mean, I don't particularly like platformers. I think they're extremely frustrating, but they're addicting. And that's the problem with
ruining
them.
the youth of America.
Although this game was a little bit more fun than some of the other ones that I played. But yeah, no, I did not have a good time sometimes playing this game, but
okay, yeah, and the thing is, if you go watch that clip of Q losing his mind, I feel like I can say this about Q. He is not. I feel like he doesn't get tilted very easy. Q is known to play extremely frustrating, toxic games, and he does not lose his cool. I've never seen him melt down like what I saw. Like that was.
I mean, he beat all of God of War with his bare hands.
Yeah, exactly. So. And he plays like he used to play League of Legends. He used to play Overwatch. He plays Dead by Daylight. He plays games that are known for like toxic, horrible, difficult games, and I've never seen him do what he did that day.
No game has ruined me like Mario Roy Koopa's castle.
Okay, who's so that was just Zach and Rat so far, right? So us three. Mm-hmm. All right. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Steve.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a GOAT. This is probably my favorite 2D Mario game. I haven't played 3, so that I know that's kind of like a heavy hitter, but as of right now, this is definitely my favorite 2D Mario game. I think, the graphics are great, the sound is great, the controls are crisp. It's everything you would want from a 2D platformer. I think it still holds up to this day as being one of the best. I've played a lot of 2D platformers, and I still think this is up there in terms of level quality and control and controls and everything I just mentioned. I also think the cultural impact on this game,
immeasurable.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, like what I just said, the graphics, the sound, everything. It's something you see a lot, and I think just from what the inspiration that you see from games in the future, what they took from. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say Super Mario World ran so future 2D platformers could walk.
Ooh, that's really good. That would go on like the box like of a game.
Yeah, I think most 2D platformers are just like, they looked at like Mario World and it's like, all right, is it measurable to this at least?
You're not wrong. I mean, it set the standard on high quality platformer.
That's a good way to say it. They set the standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's a GOAT. It's, it's probably in the conversation for most people's top 5 2D platformers of all time.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, it's a GOAT.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm not gonna go last every time. I was always doing that to be polite, but I don't know, it's not necessary. So I'm gonna eeny, meeny, miny, mo between me and Rob. Mm-hmm. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, well, Rob.
It's a scam.
Yeah, I also absolutely think this game is a GOAT. I don't approach this game with any nostalgia goggles because I didn't play it as a kid. I honestly, I didn't even like 2D platformers as a kid. It wasn't until later in my life that I got into them. And had spent years playing games that stood on the shoulders of this game for inspiration, and it is still better than the vast majority of them. It's so much fun. It's hard. There were times I died like over 100 times in a stream, but I never stopped having fun, even when I was getting the shit kicked out of me. It was a blast the whole time. It's so fun. It's so creative and beautiful. Yeah, I love this game. It's absolutely a GOAT.
Hell yeah. Okay, I'll go. Yeah, it's a GOAT. We're all just kind of saying the similar thing over and over again.
Unanimous.
An unanimous GOAT. A Senate supermajority of the GOAT Games crew.
That's a 5-star GOAT right
exactly. We're each a star. We're each a star.
It's the first unanimous since Elden Ring, and we didn't have Steve for that.
I was gonna say, exactly. Like, this is the first unanimous with all 5, right?
Exactly, it is. Yep. And so, I mean, I'm just gonna restate the same thing everyone else is. And if the original Super Mario and NES introduced the world to a genre, this one defined the genre. And every other game is living in it. Every other 2D platformer is living in its shadow. Like we've all kind of said, like it still stands up as one of the, if not the best to some people's, reckoning, 2D platformer of all time. And it's just joy. It's just like joy and fun and like distilled into 16 bits. It's like not only just is it fun because of like because of the way it handles and because like it's setting precedents for game handling and mechanics in 2D platforming, but like they'd never let that get in the way of just like it needs to be joyful shit. That was I'm going to restate that because I bonked my thing. It needs to be joyful first. It needs to be fun first. People need to want to lose themselves in this world, in this game, without even a story, without even real like appreciable characters. You're still lost in that world. You're still lost in this like. You wish the world was this colorful. You wish the world was this joyful. You wish the music. You wish your life sounded like this. Like I said, it doesn't sound like the real world, but it sounds like what this world should. And that design philosophy is everywhere. It's a GOAT. It would be dumb to say otherwise. I feel like I'm sure there's someone out there who's like, no, this game sucks. No, I'm going to tell you why. But like, fuck them.
So funny enough, I was like, let me see what the arguments are for this being overrated. And I'm not gonna like single anybody out, but and I'm not gonna read anything verbatim, but I've read like 3 opinions on why it's overrated, and they all look at it through a modern lens. And basically it boils down to 2D platformers have come a long way since Super Mario World. Hence Mario World's overrated. Like that's not how that works. Sorry,
first of all, that's dumb. Not taking historical context into account. And if they were here, I would argue that they're still wrong. I would argue that this is not just like a relic. It's like I felt nothing except for maybe something like Steve kind of hinted at like they could have done maybe a little bit better signposting maybe for some of the secrets, but like that
was a minor complaint.
Exactly, and
it still holds
up.
And
even then, like it's like. That's a design choice, and like it's not as intrusive as like and I brought up old school Zelda is when you play the first Zelda, you do kind of feel like okay, this is like but that wasn't here. I would argue that those people are wrong. I would argue that I like platformers. I've played Metroidvanias and platformers. There's other games that probably get close to this level of quality. I'm a big fan. I like Shovel Knight. Shout out if you like 2D platformers. Shovel Knight's really great. Super Meat Boy is great, but like this game would easily, Celeste is, people love that game. This game would easily stand with them. If it came out today, which it couldn't because so many games need this game to have existed, but like say somehow those games existed and this game came out today, people would be raving about it still. I'll fight those detractors, bring them to me, and I'll take them down each one.
Well, it's kind of funny because I feel like the new Super Mario games, which are like the successor to this, aren't as well received.
Yeah, probably could.
Even the first one, I think, I remember I was working at GameStop when like new Super Mario hit. And I want to say like the first new Super Mario Bros. Hit, it hit on DS and it was really well received.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Nintendo just ended up like outstaying its welcome because they were pumping them out constantly.
Exactly. They should have let that one, which from what I understand was really well received, and I personally really enjoyed it. They should have just let that one sit.
I liked it. The only issue was it was DS, but it was still good.
Yeah. Oh, I played it on Wii. Are we talking about the same one?
Yeah.
The new Super Mario Bros?
New Super Mario Bros. Started out on DS and then eventually moved to Wii. I think there was the 3DS entry and the Wii U.
Yeah, even the Wii one was like okay, because that one like introduced multiplayer, which is I guess something else we never talked about, which I guess we probably should have, was the multiplayer.
Never played this game multiplayer, and I'm like, I didn't have friends as a kid
of Super Mario, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool switching off between Mario and Luigi. If you had a brother to play with, that was a super cool way to do it because it's just like you're playing the game, You're just kind of taking turns.
Thank you for mentioning that, Steve.
Unlocking the world and everything.
Thank you for mentioning that because we literally did not even mention it. I forgot it had.
I know. It was. You know what? It was always something I wanted to mention too, and I totally forgot. But yeah, I mean that's another aspect. I almost I was playing this and I was almost like halfway through, like, oh man, I should have like asked, I don't know, Figgy or something. Like, hey, you want to do like a collab stream?
Oh, that would have been great. It's not too late. That would have been
a great idea, but I never thought of it. So
it's not too late. We have to go back.
By the time I thought of it, it was too late.
We have to go back to the island, Kate. We have to do that. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess a future Super Nintendo game, maybe we'll do something. Somebody,
just do it to promote the podcast when the episode comes out.
Yeah, we can.
Oh yeah, we could just be like, fuck it, for a short. We're doing it again.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're going to edit that out so that people don't. No, you know what? We're not going to edit it out. We're going to advertise it. That's how you do things.
What we need to do is we need to find a sixth person, and then we do teams, and whoever beats the game first.
Are save states allowed?
It's time to shine.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a goat. We got it. We got it in one. Goat all the way. Okay, so again, we did it. We did it,
ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
We found the GOAT game. That's the end of the podcast.
Yep. And you know what? Everyone can rest easy now. Miyamoto can finally sleep. He can finally rest.
I know he was really worried about this.
Yeah.
So.
That's
good.
So again, my name is Alan Newton. You can follow me at twitch.tv/Figgy_O. I have a Twitter, ostensibly under the same name, Figgy_O. I'm joined today by Q.
Yeah, I'm Q.
Every time, man.
I go by Rat Parade. You can find me on streaming on Twitch at rat_parade, and catch me playing either one of these games we're talking about, or probably just GTA roleplay, which is my main bread and butter. I'm addicted.
We need to do a GTA 5 episode so you can use your powers.
My powers.
Your superpowers.
And next up we have Steve.
Yep. My name's Steve for Cheese on Twitch. You can come check me out. I'm going to be streaming BioShock as well as some other spooky games for October, but by the time this episode is out, you will already miss it.
True.
So I don't know what we'll be doing in November by then. But yeah, go watch the VODs or something, and I don't know. But yeah.
And next up we have Super Captain Rob.
Yeah, I'm Rob, Super Captain Rob on Twitch. That's all one word. Same on Twitter. If you want to catch that sexy Patrick Star cosplay, that will be happening in November. So hopefully the podcast should be out by then. If you want to follow me, it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be on one of our Saturday streams. But we do a lot of fun stuff. I probably already said I'm on Twitter under the same name. But yeah, if you want to come hang out, we would love to see you.
Excellent. And then Zach.
Zach from Zach Attacks Games. I have been streaming, so if you want to just come hang out, we have a pretty chill vibe. Steve's holding up a picture that he drew of me. That's a very good likeness that you don't get to see at home.
Perfect depiction.
But it is spot on. But if you just want to come hang out, play some retro games, I'm not sure what I'm going to stream next. I might finish Super Mario World. I don't know yet. But, if you want to hang out at Zach Attacks Games on Twitch, that's ZACH. There's links for socials like Instagram and Twitter that you can find there. If you want to, for whatever reason, you want to see me tweet at vinyl distributors on Twitter when I'm like, hey, when's this going to drop?
Nice. Hell yeah. Okay. And so the game, we have socials as well. You can find we have a Twitter at GOAT Games Pod, all one word. Common spelling of GOAT Games and Pod. Not PAWD. We have a Facebook page. You can find us there. We have an email. We would love to hear from you listeners at goatgamespodcast@gmail.com. goatgamespodcast@gmail.com. Send us questions if you'd like us to answer them or talk about them, or your thoughts on these games that we have previously covered or are about to cover. We just want to hear from you and would love to get some, love to not be alone. And y'all,
did you plug the Twitter?
I did. I said at Go Games Pod.
Okay, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. And we're
not good at that, paying attention.
And I'm going to put a bumper at the beginning of the episode, but we are produced in association with The Network and the Podcast Precinct. It's a wonderful podcasting network where you can find other great shows besides ours. You can check us and other great shows out at the website B as in bacon, I as in the letter I, C as in Charles Xavier, B as in balloon, and P as in proprietary. BICBP-radio/podcasts. We'll be coming out again next month. We've made talks about trying to come out more frequently, but so be on the lookout for that. But right now it's still monthly. We'll be playing BioShock next time, the original one. So check us out and listen to that one.
Would you kindly hit that subscribe button?
Ooh, nice tie-in, Zach. Yes. Please like and subscribe and follow on whatever your podcast app of choice is to catch new episodes. And also, if you feel so inclined, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you liked the show. And if you didn't like the show, please also leave a review, but lie. It's for a good cause. Okay, till next time, everybody. GG's.
Does anyone else have Zach's camera missing for them?
Yeah, it's
he said fuck it.
He already said fuck you guys is what he said. I believe was the exact wording of his message.
All right, I got you. I didn't know if
I can't get it. So it gets testy with Discord. So
we do miss your beautiful face, but
I'm wearing a blue shirt and I believe my hair is
slower.
Talk
slower.
I'm gonna draw Zach.
I'm unbuttoning I'm wearing a blue Henley tee and I'm unbuttoning the top buttons for you.
I'm buttoning the top button of my t-shirt.
And I've tied my hair back into a ponytail. Just
beautiful
to really nail that dime store romance look.
I think Zach, if the podcasting game doesn't work out, maybe with a little bit of training, you could do like audiobooks.
Maybe.
Have you thought about erotica?
Absolutely, every day.
Oh yeah, man. Send me some copies. I'll edit them for you. I'll review them.
Charlie's throb.
Nope.
Whoa. Maybe let's start with slash fiction. Okay, we'll get into some Sonic stuff, and then we'll work into the build up to that. Novels. Yeah,
I like that we're coming in hot.